So it turns out Caitlin Clark made the Olympics after all. This was her at the USA swimming trials. Along with the rest of her Indiana Fever teammates. And you can see Caitlin looks happy there after what has been a stressful season. It seems things are really turning around, and there may be some bonding going on there with the rest of the Fever, which bodes well for the rest of the season. I only bring up the Olympics, though, because in filling out a request, I realized what a cool story is looming in the WNBA. So I've gotten some comments asking me about the All Star Game, the WNBA All Star Game, including this one, as you can see here. NeoX Supreme says, "Hey Robin, wonder if you could make a video of the WNBA All Star voting format, which will pit the USA Women's National Team versus Team NBA, comprised of players 10 voted on by fans and 2 selected by coaches, and then the rest of their vote is shared there." And what I realized is this is going to be an awesome storyline, because as you saw on the screen, this is how it works. It's going to be the U.S. Olympic team, the women who were selected to go play in Paris, against Team WNBA, which will be made up of mostly voting. It will be 50% fan voting, 25% current players, 25% media members who select the top 10 players to go. And then the coaches in the WNBA will pick the remaining 2 members of the roster to make it 12v12 in that WNBA All Star Game. But what does that mean? Well, that means we're going to see Caitlin Clark against Team USA, right? Because there is almost no doubt that Caitlin Clark will be the top vote getter. I mean, what about what we've seen so far this season when it comes to her popularity would make you believe she won't be the top vote getter? So imagine that storyline heading into Phoenix for that All-Star Game, Clark versus Team USA. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, the rest of the roster obviously will be really good as well, and the U.S. squad is stacked. But when it comes to the voting itself, I did do a piece on my new site, Women's Fastbreak on SI, and you can get the link in the description to check it out, this article and more. But when it comes to actually picking the rest of the team, I wrote a little piece about what I just said to you, how the format works. Obviously, the cheeky little mention of the Olympics there. But when you go through and look at the top 10 vote getters, here's who I picked. Caitlin Clark, duh. I mean, I think you got to give the fans what they want, of course. That is important. And she deserves it on merit. Jonquel Jones, who is a monster in the post. I've seen the Liberty play several times this year. Obviously, Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu are both on the USA basketball squad, but that leaves off a former MVP in Jones, who in some of the games has been the most dominant force for the Liberty. She's shooting almost 60% from the floor. Then you got Bonner of the Sun. And the Sun have had a really, really good season so far. Obviously, if you've been following the Indiana Fever, you've seen a lot of the Connecticut Sun. Arike Gumboale. I will get that perfectly right at some point in the future. She was the one that was mentioned next to Caitlin Clark as snubs for the U.S. basketball roster, and she is second in the league in scoring right now. Now, she gets a lot of shots up. She's not shy getting those shots up, and she did say that she removed herself from consideration due to politics. Then I've got Nneka Agumake, who this would be her 9th All-Star selection. She's with the Seattle Storm now after spending time with the Sparks, but having a good season, putting up points as she tends to do, just consistently produces. Then there's Dearica Hamby of the Los Angeles Sparks, who is in the race for MVP, I would say. Well, if there was a race for MVP, but is in the conversation, I guess, for MVP, given that she is 8th in the league in scoring and 2nd in rebounding. I took Ryan Howard. Howard is on a streak of All-Star appearances. She's going to be playing as part of the Olympic 3-on-3 team, but has played very, very well for the Atlanta Dream. Kayla McBride of the Minnesota Lynx. McBride is shooting the lights out. She leads the league in three-point percentage, almost at 50% from three on the season for Minnesota, as well as, just scoring in general. A lot of those are coming from threes when you're shooting the ball the way that she's shooting the ball. Alicia Gray, another pick of the Dream. This was tough because, there were many deserving women at this section, but I looked at her shooting percentage, her points, what she's been able to produce in that regard. And finally, I voted for Angel Reese. There are other women who maybe are more deserving, but again, this is an all-star game. You want to give the fans what they want, and who wouldn't want to see Angel Reese in that game? Not only, because she has star power in her own right, and obviously the conversation around the Olympic team had become if they're actually trying to grow the game or not. And that's, a real thing to capitalize on in this moment in time, I believe, is the growth of the game. But also, who wouldn't want to see Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark play on the same team in the All-Star game? That would make for some great storylines. Because in the NBA, they've really struggled with All-Star games, right? Like, it's been tough. It's been tough to get anybody to care about the All-Star game. It's been tough to obviously get the players to care about the All-Star game. And there's no like incentive or motivation in the All-Star game. I don't know how it'll work out in the W, but I do know there are these natural storylines now if things remain the way that they are. And I love the format. Team USA versus Team WNBA. And given the selections, at least the first 10, are in the hands of the voters, it's a lock that Caitlin Clark will be on the team. I think Angel Reese will probably be on the team as well. But talk about a no-brainer, easy event to sell if they do indeed get Clark as a starter for Team WNBA going head-to-head against Team USA. You can see the Tarazi and Clark matchup in that game. Not to mention, like Jones going against Stewart, and lots of great matchups because the WNBA team will be stacked and loaded as well. But I mean, talk about a marketer's dream. Marketer's dream to be able to sell Clark and Team WNBA going up against the team that she didn't make in Team USA.